Welcome to this week's adventure where I find this silent guardian of the frigid north. If you're new to this channel, my name is Matt Shannon and I'm a full-time photographer in beautiful British Columbia. From soaring mountains to hidden waterfalls and elusive wildlife to stunning sunsets, I'm excited to film each step of the way. Whether you're here to learn, be inspired, or simply enjoy some stunning visuals, you've come to the right place. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. Oh, she's a beauty. Hi everyone. I am in the prairies and it is frigid and cold. I think with the wind chill it's about minus 30 or so. Sun's about to set and I'm gonna go out and try and find some snowy owls. Today I think I've seen about 6 snowy owls, but you'll see them say on a fence post, but then you have like 2 kilometers of space where if they see you coming, which they do, they'll just fly 2 or 3 kilometers away to another area. There's a bit of snow in the area. There's some orange on the horizon, blue in the sky. It's mostly from the clouds because it's snowing a bit. And then down here, we've got a lot of this really yellow stems from last year's harvest. Depending on how much is sticking out of the ground, you can get some really nice yellows and foreground elements. And fence posts as well are really cool to see the owls sitting on. Trying to get cool compositions where the owl's there and the fence posts are moving along. Hopefully I can get some cool shots of the male, which is really, really white. They're very hard to track when they fly off. They just disappear in the snow. They're just so white. You can't see them unless they move their arms. And then there's the females. They'll have these bars on them that you can pick out a little easier. I'm driving on some back roads out in the prairies. There's a thick snowfall along the whole prairies. Just the ends of the hay and straw sticking out. Sometimes when you drive fast on these roads, the owls will swoop and fly out. So I'm off on the side of a dirt road. The wind is dying down a tiny bit. There's I think it just flew off. No, it's still on the fence post way out there. I was driving down this road and I ended up passing it. And I didn't want to startle it, so I pulled up the road. And then took my time not approaching it directly, like walking towards it, but instead at an angle. Vroom. Kind of zigzagging, letting it know that I'm not coming towards it. So I think that that's important, is not to feel like you are a threat, giving it plenty of space. That's why it's nice to shoot with the telephoto, as these are very shy birds. Obviously this is their habitat during the wintertime and where they like to hunt. There's a lot of prairie dogs, mice, moles, that sort of thing running through here, and getting a little bit of a higher elevation to be able to see their prey and then fly down and grab it is what they're doing. So these fence posts are a great way of doing that. When I first came out here yesterday, there's the tall telephone poles and it's just not an ideal place to shoot, so you kind of either have to wait for them to fly down and grab something and then maybe take your shots. But the fence posts are pretty cool and beautiful if you can get some cool compositions with them lining up with the owl sitting on top. just chilling over there. We do have some really nice soft light from the sun, and because it's diffused by some of the clouds and the snow that's happening. And if they're not on the fence post, they're usually up on the crest of a hill. So if you can get low enough where the crest of the hill is contrasted against the lighter sky. This guy doesn't seem to be nearly as shy, but at the same time I want to make sure that they're getting their morning food and they're just staying focused on hunting. So I don't want to disrupt too much. So I'll take some photos here and some videos, and then I'll go over to the next spot where I've seen some snowy owls. That way I can give these guys a break. I gotta get warmed up before I go back out. Brave the elements. It's nice.
Luckily, the temperature warmed up to a balmy -16 Celsius.
So there it is up on top of the pole there. Now I have everything set up to 1600 2000th of a shutter, just in case it spreads its wings and flies down. They're a little slower with their wingspan, so I could probably get away with 1600th of a second. But since it's bright out, I'll shoot at 2000th of a second to make sure I really freeze it. I've got auto ISO because with the fields there's some darker spots and then highlights, so I want to make sure that it's floating as the bird is moving, so my ISO will go up and down. My aperture is like 5.6 right now, and that just helps sometimes with the depth of field, but the biggest issue is really just pulling focus. So my hand will be placed up here, my left hand, with my trigger here, because as the white snowy owl goes into the sky or blends into the snow, the focus has a hard time finding it, and so I might hunt. On my camera here, instead of putting it on full, my lens, I'll put it to infinity and 8 meters so that I'm not hunting everything, like even up to 5 or 6 feet. I can't remember what the shortest distance is, but if it's on full, it will try and focus things that are really close, and the owls are never going to be that close to me and this lens. That'll save on the lens trying to hunt, and if the lens can't do it, I will pull focus manually and just try and line the focus point up with the owl and snap onto it. The females, or the adolescent snowy owls that have the barbs, they're a lot easier to focus. Whereas this guy, who's super white, it has a hard time pulling focus on it. So the Z9 is incredible for its latest firmware and catching it, but not every camera is perfect. And I think it's time to start shooting and stop explaining.
Here is a shot that I was just hoping the owl would be flying towards me instead of away from me to get this type of detail. All the feathers nice and sharp, the snow shimmering and twinkling, bit of flurries floating in the sky where the sun is bouncing off of the different flakes of snow. Everything is perfect except for having the owl flying towards me, especially with those beautiful yellow eyes.
If you like this content, please give me that thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, think about subscribing. I appreciate you guys following me along in these wild and fun adventures.